Hi there, my name is Laura. I'm a K-2 teacher at Navigate NIDES in the Comox Valley. I teach in a blended learning program that is also arts-based called the Fine Arts Academy. And I'd like to share with you some of the ways in which I use my site as a communication and assessment tool for blended learning. A lot of these strategies were very helpful when we were teaching 100% online during the COVID-19 school shutdown, and this is what I have to share with you. Here's a screenshot of my site. Along the top there you can see the different pages I have. What I'll focus on today is the blog, which I mainly use for communication, and portfolios, which I use as for assessment. So the ways in which I use the My Site blog for communication are to connect with students and families, to share learning activities and lessons, to celebrate learning and our community, and to share news items, important dates, etc. The ways in which I use My Site portfolios as assessment tools are to share evidence of learning. And I usually like to divide these between snapshots, so where the child is at in a point in time, and celebrations of learning, showing growth. Portfolios can also be used to create placeholders for assignments that I assign. And when the assignment is completed, I can upload it to the spot. And you can do this for the same assignment for each student. I also use portfolios to add notes. So during the school shutdown, I would have conversations with students, and it was nice to keep a record of our conversations and notes on how they're doing with their learning. I also create a student learning plan for each student, which I update throughout the year. And this is a good place to house all of those documents. So I'd like to share some examples in my blog about the ways in which I use the blog for communication and connection. There, you can add links, you can embed videos. It's very accessible tool to include any sort of multimedia. And what I like about it is that it's all in one spot, it's organized by date, and you can go back and refer to find what you need. During the days, I would have a story time at the same time each day, and I read a couple of chapter books, which was really fun because the students would look forward to the next day and what's going to happen, and we were able to have a lot of discussion around that. I would record my story times in Zoom and then upload the video to the blog so that anybody who wasn't able to attend that day can go back and listen to this chapter. I also like to post updates of our school garden, which was always growing and is a beautiful spot that the students love and appreciate. And I know that they liked seeing the photos, even though they weren't able to visit the garden themselves. It helped them stay connected to our school and community. In terms of communicating learning activities and lessons, on the blog, I was able to share suggested resources, again, embedding videos, sharing links, creating my own activities and lessons. And I also enjoyed creating videos of myself reading a story, sharing a yoga class, and the Zoom recordings. Here's some examples. This is a screenshot from my blog. This was a lesson that I created called the O Canada Scavenger Hunt. And it began with some instructions. There are 10 steps. Listen to a song, look at a map, look at some trees, answer some questions. Our music teacher sang the Coast Salish anthem. They could sing along with her. I read a story, play a game, draw a picture, listen to a song. So this was one way of organizing a learning activity. Here's another example. This was a lesson that I created around home. And so being home, I encouraged each student to find a spot, reflect on their home, draw a picture of it, and then fill in this sentence: my home is special to me because, and this became a writing sample. I made sure to change the expectations for different age groups, and I included a story about a house. This was embedded from YouTube, something that they can listen to connect to the idea of home. Here's an example of how you can embed, create a placeholder for an assignment. So after I introduced that lesson and created the assignment, students were able, I created a blank post for everybody that was titled Home, a Snapshot of Language, Arts, and Creativity. And then either they would send me their work, or they could also, the students' parents could upload their work for me to see. And it was a beautiful way to capture some writing, creativity. And then in my site, when you create a post, you're able to add comments, and I can add a comment. The student can add her voice. My home is special to me because there are lots of flowers and so many wishes in my backyard. Here's another example of the home project. I feel happy when I look at the garden. Here's another lesson where I just step by step and then included some more videos. These are physical activity ideas. There's a coach who does his lesson with things you can find around the home. And then this is an example of a little girl who created an obstacle course and shared that with me. I like adding suggested resources so that the blog becomes a place where parents can go, and it doesn't have to be on the day that I write it, but can go back and find things, me reading a story. This one is about math, and some are resources that I create. So I did this about the number 6, which group is different. I took a photo of it, uploaded it, but you can also add existing resources and embed them or include a photograph. So multi-age, multi-level resources. Some the children will have been familiar with because we did it in class before, and other ones which will be new. Here's one on the letter S. So again, step by step. Some I create, some that I share from other sites. And through my learning activities, I try to include different subject areas. So there's physical health, physical and health education, there's literacy, numeracy. Here's one more about peace. And every year in our program, we have a theme for all K-8 students, and the teachers connect to that theme. This year, it was connection. And during the time that we were in quarantine or lockdown, our theme was connection to place. And so I did this little lesson about finding peace in our place. And there's a link to a story about peace and then a song about peace. So communicating as a way to celebrate learning. adding weekly photos of children. I would ask parents to send a photo of their child doing whatever they were doing and learning that week, photos of places that are familiar to children around the community, and then our Zoom doodles in the whiteboard in Zoom. I would have the children drawing together to create a picture. So here's some examples. Here's some artwork, a project some children were working on, outdoor learning, more artwork, garden time, baking, and you can see the learning is so diverse and it's great to celebrate. Colorful eggs, being outside, connecting with family, music, science. So many things to celebrate, so many amazing activities that these children did, and I think it's worth acknowledging the work that the parents are putting into their home learning program and celebrating that as a community. These are some examples of garden pictures that I included to help the students stay connected to the place of school, and also as a lesson to start thinking about what grows in a garden and what comes up at different times of the year. So there was some science embedded into this as well. Picture of a local beach, and this is the Zoom doodle that we did together, a group of students who had come for story time, and we decided that we would draw a garden, and this is together what we made. I turned it into a lesson by adding some vocabulary, an I Spy game, and it's a way of celebrating some of the work that we're doing together. So thinking about using portfolios for assessment, you can gather evidence of learning in a variety of ways. At the end of the year, I wanted a reading and writing sample, a math reflection, and it's a great place to share some of the home learning projects that the students were working on. Portfolios can be used as a place to add assignment placeholders. So for the assignment that you wish to provide to the students, create a placeholder with the title and the subjects, leave it blank, and then as you receive them, you can just drop them into that spot. I did a similar thing for a physical activity, photo and reflection, and then added them as they came to me. Here's a reading sample. I was able to record this little girl reading in Zoom and using one of our online digital book libraries called Raz Reading. And so she chose this book, read it beautifully, and also for an audience, which was wonderful that she was able to read to others and they could also experience the enjoyment. This was the math reflection, and there were two ways that this can be done. One is through Zoom, which I share the screen and then the students answer the questions that I ask. Some families didn't use Zoom, and I was able to send this as a document. They filled it out, sent it back to me, and I uploaded it to their portfolios. Here's an example of a home learning project on penguins that this little girl had done, and she did her research and her writing and drawing, and the portfolio is a great place to add that. I can add a comment, and the learning is also celebrated by posting it here. Here's another way of catching or a reading sample. And instead of doing it in Zoom, this parent sent me a video of the child reading one of her favorite stories. And she posted a few videos and then a picture of the books that she'd been working on. I had mentioned earlier that you can create a placeholder for an assignment, and this is an example of the home project, which I had communicated in the blog, and then they did it at home, shared it with me, I posted it to her portfolio. My home is special to me because I have chickens and rats, and I love my family. And I love that her mom also sent me a photo of her doing the assignment, which is beautiful. This is the physical and health education summary and reflection that I had created a placeholder for, and families filled it out in different ways, and some sent examples of some of the activities they did to stay active and healthy at home. And you can post multimedia videos to portfolios as well. Photos, videos. So using portfolios to add, include notes or student learning plans, other documents. After our meetings, I would just type in a note how the child is doing, what they're working on, how it's going with their family, and then I had a record of that. Not only that I communicated, but also what we communicated about. At the very beginning of the year, I develop a home learning plan or a student learning plan that I edit and add to each term to keep track of just what they're doing. And it's easy to edit just within my site. Save. And it stays in that one location for the year. And we upload our summaries of learning, official documents, other supporting documents that inform about the students' learning. And that is the end of my presentation. I hope that it was helpful and informative, and that you found ways that you can use my site to communicate and assess student learning, whether you are face-to-face, 50-50 blended learning, or learning at home. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to respond or have further conversation about these ideas. Here's my email, and all the best.